Our next speaker is Abhijit Ray from Unitas Capital. Unitas Capital has helped raise around $1.1 billion for over 60 social enterprises in the past 6.5 years. So let's hear from him on how they were able to do this.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a privilege to be here amongst a lot of enthusiastic people on a Saturday. Probably many of them don't have offices today, but still decided to be here. First of all, thanks to Ritika who contacted me. I remember it's I think Friday at 11 in the night. Thursday at 11 in the night, and Friday I had some commitments, but 11 in the night, and I was so excited. Not to share what we did. I think those can go on, but what excited me is somebody else is talking of democratizing social entrepreneurship. I mean, what an idea, democratizing social entrepreneurship. We heard about entrepreneurship, from, I think in our colleges, MBA and whatnot. But a new organization thinking of a social entrepreneurship event and dreamers and doers. Amazing. So I actually replied to her in, I think, 10 or 15 minutes saying, yes, I'm coming, without knowing who are coming, without knowing who are the other speakers. What excited me is that there will be a bunch of people who are interested in this space, which is the social entrepreneurship space. So I can go into Unitas Capital in a bit, but I thought, what an impressive presentation by my previous speaker. I know them, both wife, husband, for quite some time now. And it reminds me of a movie, I don't know you've seen, it's a Shah Rukh Khan movie called Swadesh. And those days, obviously, they were much smaller when it was done, much younger, it was, I think, inspired by people like Ramesh Ramanathan, who runs Janagraha and Janalakshmi and all, and a few others like, Harish Hande from Selco and others. So it was in India Today, I saw I think it will be 15 years back, I saw that. So to take you a bit back about myself and how come I'm in this very interesting world of social entrepreneurship. Coming from a very lower middle class family, the first option was to get into a job because you have to earn for yourself, your family. Got into SBI, did banking in a very interesting place like Jammu and Kashmir with the militants, with guns, very interesting life there. But I enjoyed my 2 years in Kashmir, and it's in Badgaon and other places which was very, very difficult areas. Then moved to Sidbi and Touchwood. What a experience it was, 13 to 14 years of banking across the length and breadth of the country, from Jammu Kashmir to Leh Ladakh, where in Leh I was sent to do microfinance, to Sikkim, to extreme northeast, where once I was not allowed to leave the state because I was advising them to do something good for the social entrepreneurs. So a lot of interesting things. So finally, after 14 years of banking career, decided to hang up my boots in the banking. From a very relaxed, comfortable life where I could dictate terms like what loan to be given to Samit, at what terms and not. But then thought that this is an area where I should come on. But there are certain things which actually pushed me to think that side. First of all, while going across the length of the breadth of the country, I don't need to tell you like the demand for any services, whether it is for poor or even not for poor. Like many of the services, as lower middle class or middle class, we don't have access to. It's not about just the product. It's about the price. It's about the reach. It's about affordability. It's about after sales service. It's about which region needs what. So there are multiple options, permutations, combinations. And what I realize is many of these social entrepreneurs, as she was saying, that they came with a bent of mind of, we know what impact means. We know how to do not-for-profit enterprises. But when we are growing and this dilemma of not-for-profit, for-profit comes in, the challenge is either certain forces drive us to go there, or we see as an impact maker that how can we do more impact. When you talk of more impact, that means scale. When you talk of scale, that means you have to build systems, you have to build processes, you have to get a lot of capital. So while doing this as a banker also, in Sidbi I was lucky enough to work with a lot of social entrepreneurs. What I saw is many of them are so keen to make much more impact, go increase their scale. To give an example, Bandhan, Mr. Ghosh, I have worked very closely from day one when he started his NGO. And actually from Sidbi, he gave the first support as well. Today he's a bank, he set up a bank. So the challenges was that if you had to go do scale, you needed capital, but many of them don't know how to raise capital. And more importantly for them, when I used to talk to many of the social entrepreneurs, the first question was, Okay, I need equity, but what is the interest rate of equity? Okay, come on. Equity doesn't have interest rate. No, no, but they need some return. I said, yes, they need a return. But what is that? I said, this is not defined to you. Then, okay, I'll agree, but then they're asking for a board seat. Why do they need a board seat? They have to give me money and I'll pay back. That why they need to come in my board? Why they are pushing me for an exit after 5 years? I mean, define 3 years, or 7 years. After 5 years, different events, why all these challenges? So while working with these entrepreneurs over a period of time, we realized that we needs a lot of handholding if we are thinking of scale. Because ultimately a country like India, it's not a small country, it's a massive country, the demands are all very high. So if you really need to scale and make an impact, much more deeper impact, you need capital, and for capital, you need people to do that handholding and take them to the next level. And that's why we thought that having an advisory company, because I was on the other side, giving loans, giving equity. So I thought having an advisory company where we can help the entrepreneurs to go to the next level is much more required. And that's how I think the idea of setting up Unitas Capital came up, that we gave grants earlier. When we were giving grants, we realized that grants can go up to a certain level. We did a lot of handling in terms of doing strategic planning, maybe building the model, then saying that, okay, you need computers, you need this system, that system. But at the end of the day, you ultimately have to take them to the next level in terms of raising capital. So that's where most of the entrepreneurs lack. I'm not saying all. Today we have much more technical entrepreneurs, much more people coming from grad schools and others. They start this, but I'm talking of those days where not many were there. And two, the other important part is what entrepreneurs are passionate about is their business and how to run the business. Say if they have to provide affordable drinking water, they know how to do that. If there's somebody to do microfinance, they know how to do that. Probably if somebody has to say that, okay, affordable healthcare, probably like Dr. Pasha or somebody else, they will do that. But then, are they equipped enough to raise capital? Probably not. Or the bandwidth required to raise capital is so much that if they focus on raising capital, the business will impact. So that's why we thought this is an area we should work and take the entrepreneurs to the next level. And that's how in 2008, 2007 we started the process, and 2008 I set up the company called Unitas Capital. Touchwood, I mean, we have been lucky enough worked with amazing entrepreneurs. In the last 6.5 years of journey, we have raised more than $1 billion. I'll quickly run through the presentation, but this is more to talk about social entrepreneurs, then I'll talk about the fundraise we have done. So we are in Bangalore with some amount of skeleton presence in New York, San Francisco, and Sydney. San Francisco, one of our board member is there, who is also a co-founder. And New York, we have a part-time CEO because we have to take care of some amount of investor relationship. She is a very experienced lady. She lives out of New York, works only part-time with us. And Sydney, we have one of our co-founders. She can't move to India for whatever reasons, personal reasons. So we decided that she is an amazing lady, so she should continue. So we are Bangalore based, but with some representation in these three countries, three places, and we have a 20-member team on the ground in Bangalore. We have raised 1.1 billion, as she rightly said, of debt and equity for 61 plus clients, and in across Asia. Though India is the main focus for us, but we have done work in Indonesia, Philippines, China, and Australia. And the sectors we have focused, microfinance was bread and butter for us in the initial days because that's what I came from. I came from financial services industry. So that was much easier to do. Then we have diversified to healthcare, education, agriculture, renewable energy, and also a bit of technology. We have also, in the last 6 months, helped set up the Livelihood Impact Fund, investment fund, which is part of Unitas Impact. It's a small fund which only supports livelihood initiatives. Touchwood with all the support of amazing social entrepreneurs. We were the number 1 investment bank last year. By 2 different organizations voted for us. One is the Acquisition International magazine, which is UK based, and then Venture Intelligence and VCH. They have also just as the number 1 investment bank. In terms of number of deals done, I mean, there are very large investment banks in India, like the Avendeses and others, where the one volume is probably equal to our total number of deals we have done. So effectively, we focus on scaling businesses that benefit the BOP population. So if you look at our track record of innovation, we have multiple entities. I represent the Unitas Capital. So we have a labs which actually is a promoting institution for many of these entities, which still remains as a not-for-profit based out of the US, where our founders put in a bit of money to incubate all these entities, what you see today. So Unitas Equity Fund, as probably many of you know, is renamed as Eleva. It invests in, again, impactful businesses. They are into their third fund now. Two funds, I think 22.5 and then 70 million. Third fund they are raising now. Then Unitas Capital, which I'm representing. And then Unitas Impact and Seed Fund, these are the two other funds. Seed Fund is based out of India. And they have made, I think, 14 investments in the last 1 year and a few months. They do very early stage investments between $100,000 and $250,000, and they only look at impactful businesses. Amazing team. So many of you or some of you who are interested in looking at early stage funding, they could be a potential partner. So what we do, we are a marriage maker. You can call us an agent. You can call us a Indian local term, a dalal, but effectively we are a intermediary which work with social enterprises in different sectors and try to do a matchmaking with institutional investor, impact funds, family offices, banks, development financial institutions, etc., etc. This is in some summary of what we raised. 1 billion of fundraise, out of which you can see 600 almost million for MFIs, which is quite a lot. But because this has happened because most of the time in the first 3 years we only focus on MFIs. The last years we are doing other sectors as well. We have an amazing team consisting of people from TVS Capital, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Nomura. As you can see, this why they work with us. We can't pay the way these people pay, because we work with impactful entrepreneurs. We work with very passionate guys. So that's what excites these IITs, the IIM guys. We have a couple of guys who are IIMs. We have at least 3 more who are IIMs. We have ISB grads working with us. Why they work? Because they get an opportunity to work with amazing social entrepreneurs like her or many others like Samit. We have a strong history of relationship with 150 top mainstream investors. See, impact business doesn't mean that investor has to be only impactful investors. It could be any investor. As long as the business is scalable, as long as it's, over a period of time it gives good return to the investors, anybody and everybody can invest. So many of the deals, many of the transactions we have done, we have seen mainstream investors like the PEs and VCs have invested. As we are a, impact focused fund, we have connections or relationships, very strong in-depth relationships, all the impact investors you can think of, all of them. Some 200 odd, probably we know all of them. And DFIs, yes, there are very few DFIs, you can count them, some 7, 8. We know almost all of them. What it ultimately means, what it means is that we have built a very strong client relationship, which is evident from the fact that organizations like Janalakshmi, which is led by Mr. Ramesh Ramanathan, probably many of you know him. We have done 3 rounds of equity for him. The last round, which closed recently, we are not part of that, but prior to that, 325 crores, the last round we did. And we are continuously doing debt raising for them. The second company is Satin, based out of Delhi, for which we have done 3 rounds of equity. Forus is a very impactful company based out of Bangalore, which makes ophthalmology device, affordable ophthalmology device for detection of 5 major ailments of the eye. So we raised 2 rounds of equity for them. Barefoot Powered is a company which is into off-grid power solutions for the bottom of the pyramid. They're an Australia-based company. We are doing the 3rd round of equity for them, and we have done a lot of debt. So why we wanted to show this is that it's not that we just go and work on a deal just on a deal basis, on a transaction basis. We try to build a long-term relationship because a lot of other things we can do, not just capitalize. We can connect to the market. We can bring you to the entire ecosystem of people. So that's what I think all the entrepreneurs like us. So they continuously work with us, over years. This is some, these are all market data. So we are a leading investment bank, not so critical to highlight here. Some of the innovation in the first time transaction we did in the Indian market. Again, I'll not get into this detail. I'll obviously talk of some of the social entrepreneurs a bit later. We have been able to build an amazing group of board members, investors, and team, which I have highlighted bit in the beginning. These are some of the microfinance transactions we are involved. Again, I'll flip through this very quickly because, see, some of them are amazingly interesting organizations. You see all of them are very good, but at the same time, somebody who have taken up to do things in a very difficult region, like say RGVN. You see RGVN, which is in the second line, the fifth one. It works in Northeast, where working is not easy. They have built a portfolio of now 180 crores, where every other day there is a bandh, where your field officer always subject to risk of kidnapping. They work at some time, thinking they will return home tomorrow, today or not. So but somebody decided to work there, and the person who set it up is based out of Bombay, but he decided to go and work in Northeast. He's executive director of IDBI, Mr. Palia. So even if you look at organizations like Sonata, which decided that they will only do finance in a very remote areas. So 73% of the clients are first-time loanees, means in the areas where no other microfinance is there. Forget about banks, nobody is there. So very interesting organization in the microfinance space. These are some of the non-microfinance one I would like to highlight a bit. If you look at the one in the third line is called Vindhya. Vindhya is a BPO which employs people with disability. I mean, if you look at it, it's not easy to set up a company which will only employ people with disability, but they decided. So it's in the DNA. From day one, they decided that we'll grow big. The vision is to make a massive organization where I think it will be like a Vindhya city or something where hundreds and hundreds of people will work, and different services they will provide. Right now they're a BPO, employs around 700 odd people, out of 550 are having very acute level of disability, and they're profitable. Maybe the business is not too big now in terms of revenue, probably 10 crores or so last year, but they are growing. So if you look at organization like Neurosynaptics, many of you know, they make, they actually connect the patients to the backend system of doctors through a device, and that's the innovation they have done in the device, which can transmit video at a 64 kbps bandwidth. So a doctor and patient at the village and the doctor at Delhi or Mumbai or wherever can talk. So that's amazing, talk and see each other. So that's an amazing innovation. If you look at a company like MicroPensions on the first line, MicroPension is a platform which we talk of so many informal sector workers. You'll see these rickshaw pullers, you will see the auto drivers, you will see the taxi drivers, you will see the vegetable vendors. I mean, are we thinking about the social security? Probably not. So in this company took it upon themselves to build a platform of micropensions for the informal sector workers. I mean, it's not easy to build a platform like this. It took a lot of time and effort. And finally, this organization is doing reasonably well. I won't say still it's got into a huge scale, but reasonably well. Of DFI like KFW from Germany, they have invested. We raised around $4 million for them. Actually, Michael and Suzanne Dell Foundation is also an investor there. So these are some of the very interesting social entrepreneurs we have raised capital. I'll highlight one more, probably Relesys. I mean, all are very, very impactful. Just I'm trying to say some different ones. Relesys is a company, is a producer of low-cost stents. As you probably know, if some of you face the challenge of getting stents for your relatives, due to heart blockage and all. So you will see that basically the Medtronics and others provide this, and these are all European or other global companies, and each stent would not cost less than 70,000-80,000. So Dr. Reddy, who is the promoter of Care Hospital, decided that it's too costly. Even the CGHS patients who get a subsidy from government of around 25,000-30,000, how they will afford? So the main challenge of people becoming poor every year is that 25% of people fall into the poverty line every year because of the Hellenian, I think, equity further. So these are some of the social entrepreneurs. I don't know how I'm doing in terms of time. 2 minutes? Yeah, I think I'll not cover much on the other transactions. There are a lot of debt we do. These are all overseas debt we have arranged for entities. Mostly these are financial services company, but of late we are doing for some non-financial, like Relesys we did a non-financial, this is not a financial services company. So we are doing a lot of debt, overseas debt to India through the listed instrument. It's called the NCD, non-convertible debenture, which are listed in the stock exchange. We have done some structured transactions in terms of securitization and all. We have done a lot of debt from local banks and all for very interesting, impactful businesses. These are some of the non-microfinance cases where we have done some debt. IQ is eye care company. Barefoot is a solar. Ayurved is a hospital based out of Bangalore. So we have worked with very interesting investors like Leapfrog, Morgan Stanley, and others who are focusing on the impact space quite a lot. You will think why Morgan Stanley? At some point they were setting up a fund on which would only make investment in social enterprises. We work very closely with the IITs, IIMs because we want the incubation cell to really churn out much more entrepreneurs. So we sometimes become mentors, advisors, guide to IIMs, IITs on a regular basis. We work very closely with IFC, which is a DFI. We work very closely with SIDBI, which is a big player in the impact space. And last but not the least, team. I would like to highlight a bit about the investors. These are people who have committed tons of money for the social impact space, and they are no hurry to exit. They want to build a platform because Unitas Capital they see as a platform which will provide support to hundreds and hundreds of social entrepreneurs across the globe. So today we are only focused in Asia, but I think Touchwood with support and blessings of people like you will probably at some point be very global organization. So Bob Patillo is world's largest impact investor. He has put in 100 million. He's not an ultra rich individual, but he has put in 100 million of his money to the impact space, and he would have invested in some 40 odd companies over the last 10-12 years. Jeff Lee is our co-chairman as well. He has set up multiple ventures. Two people I would like to highlight here is Bob Gay. Bob Gay is founder of Bain Capital, co-founder of Bain Capital. They run like multi-billion-dollar funds, but their focus also apart from that is to look at social enterprises. And Bill Price, who is a partner, founding partner of TPG, the Texas Pacific Group, and they have massive funds they run. And we have amazing person like Nayan Ramchandra, who is the ex-Morgan Stanley head of India and on the emerging markets. He is our advisor. He also leads us, to think global and get very good companies on board. So this is, I don't know, it's not short, pretty long about us and what we have done. Happy to take questions. I know I can't take now, but probably later or after the session. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your patient hearing.